were going to war with all of those who are saying that Norman Manley did not found the People's National Party. He was a co-founder. Where did this OT Fairclough thing come about? It started, and I want to make it clear that I'm not quarreling with PJ Patterson. I'm not quarreling with anybody. PJ and I have had our quarrels already. We're done quarreling. We're good now. But the whole OT Fairclough thing started in 2013 when PJ gave an inaugural address, a kind of a lecture series that was put on by the PNP YO. And PJ gave that address and mentioned that whole thing about OT Fairclough being a co-founder of the People's National Party. And from then on, people like Arnold Bertram and what's his name? I don't remember his name. Started talking of Paul Buchanan and Arnold Bertram and other people. Started talking about OT Fairclough being co-founder of the PNP. Now, tonight I don't intend to go through all the reasons why we know that OT Fairclough was not a co-founder of the PNP. But I want to just highlight a couple of things very, very quickly. How this OT Fairclough thing came into the PNP by a group of people who seem to want to wipe the Manley name from the history of the PNP and install this black man who they claim to have been a banker. Well, let me tear that curtain, let's move that curtain away from the old foolishness about OT Fairclough. First, they said he was a banker. OT Fairclough was not a banker. OT Fairclough came back to Jamaica and said he was a banker, and according to some of the history outlined by PG and Paul Buchanan and Arnold Bertram, he worked at a bank in Haiti. And they listed the bank, which have a French name but pronounced Arcais. Now, if you look at the banks in Haiti between the year 1920 and 1934, when O.T. Fairclough returned to Jamaica, there was no such bank. Not a bank like that never exists in Haiti in 1934 when O.T. Fairclough came back to Jamaica. Some people say when he came to Jamaica, he applied at a bank for work, and he was a black man, so the bank not going to give him no work. They offer him work as a porter or a janitor, whatever. He's not going to get no work at the Jamaican bank in black. So that 1934 wasn't going to get any work for that. So that's what I say. So the first myth is he was not a banker. He came back with a letter of recommendation that he was an assistant manager at a bank named Arcade. No such bank existed. As a matter of fact, in 1934 when he came back, there was no more than about 11 banks in Haiti, and all of them were American-owned banks. Well, 2 of them was French-owned banks, but all of them was basically American-owned banks. So O.T. Fairclough was not a banker. He was a man who worked in one bank and come say him working in one bank. The next myth. 1934 is a very strange time. When I look at 1934, I remember when I got the information earlier on today about the 1934 thing that he came back to Jamaica, something clicked in my mind. Because in 1934, Franklin Delano Roosevelt removed America, left Haiti in 1934. He pulled America out of Haiti in 1934. And just about the same time, O.T. Fairclough came to Jamaica. Those things are strange circumstances. Strange. And as Freud said, there are no circumstances. So those are strange things about O.T. Fairclough. He wasn't a banker. He came back to Jamaica in 1934, just about the same time that FDR pulled America out of Haiti. And half the banks in Haiti went with the American troops, even though America still had economic ties in Haiti. All right. Third myth. O.T. Fairclough founded the newspaper called The Public Opinion. Now, isn't it a strange thing that a man could have founded a newspaper that they say he founded and recruited people to work at, but there's absolutely no evidence, nothing to suggest that he was actually a founder of the paper. No writings, no letter, no papers, no nothing. The man founded a newspaper and there's nothing to show that he wrote. Bagger all wash. Fourth thing. Here is them telling about O.T. Fairclough co-found PNP. and it was his idea. Now you tell me this, because you have sensible people, you have more sense more than me, because a basic school me go. How can you be a co-founder for your movement, and the movement launched on the day September 18, 1938, and you never give a speech? And if you were co-founder and you gave a speech, where is the speech? Because we have Norman's speech. We have Norman stand up and talk, but it is called the People's National Party for re. How on God's earth would you have a co-founder who never spoke at the launch of the party that he's a co-founder of? How come we can't find no document, no speech, no letters, no nothing that O.T. Fairclough have written that we can refer to? How come? None of that. So my conclusion is O.T. Fairclough must have been a riser and a scammer coming from Haiti. Must not co-found a PNP. Here's the next thing. The company open argument about O.T. Fairclough was walking around the country and recruiting people. Lie. Absolutely dirty lie. It was Norman Washington Manley who walked around the country and recruited people and sell them on the idea of a political movement. Somebody wrote, I think it was Bertram or one of them wrote that when he came back, when Fairclough came back, he went to apply for a job. He didn't get the job, and so he thought that he needed a political party because he never get a job. What kind of foolishness is that? Want to take black people for idiot. So, comrades, I want to know that there seems to be some kind of conspiracy by a group of black men in this country and joined by the white man Mark to discredit Norman Manley and big up this big-head black man from Haiti who came back from 1934 with absolutely nothing, never worked, never owned no bank, was no banker. He come back and say he was an assistant manager at some fictitious bank that never existed in 1934. And talk about him walk around the country and talk to people and recruit people. Alright? I want to say that. Show us a picture of him walking around the country. Because we have lots of pictures of Norman walking around the country, talking to people, selling them on the idea of a political movement. And it is so amazing to watch grown, sensible, educated people buying into that argument that O.T. Fairclough was co-founder of the PNP. Grown, educated people. O.T. Fairclough, to me, based on the concerted effort by so many people to promote him as a co-founder of PNP without any evidence of him being here, co-founding anything. Norman Manley set up the committee. Norman Manley was at John Blair meeting with over brown people. Then because PNP started out as a brown people middle class party. Wasn't for poor people. Never started that way. Norman Manley was there. Norman Manley was chairman of the committee. How on God's earth would you make the co-founder secretary of the committee? Norman Manley was the chairman. Therefore, the co-founder must be co-chairman. Norman Manley was King's Counsel. Norman Manley would not be sitting beside a man who co-founded. Norman Manley was a man of principle. Norman Manley was a man of honesty and loyalty and dignity. He would not have done and said the things that he has done and said without including anybody who co-founded anything with him. It's a blatant, dirty lie perpetrated by a group of black men in this country. That's how it started. And I'm not calling them names, but they know themselves. Want to whitewash the PNP. Want to introduce this revisionist history to say that Norman Manley was not our founder, but this man named O.T. Fairclough. A man, I might point out, that we have no record of. How we have so much things about Norman? How we don't have nothing about him? Ask yourself that question. How on God's earth could he be a co-founder with Norman? And we have everything there is on Norman and nothing on this man who died in Germany, I believe. I don't know, probably in the 60s. So he himself was telling some of these tales before he died. That man, O.T. Fairclough, he was telling some of these tales before he died about him being co-founder of the People's National Party. He was no co-founder of the People's National Party. He was just one of them man where hang out with Norman, when Norman a think up in party and the name of him party and what him party is about, and that was how it all went. If they believe that O.T. Fairclough is a co-founder of the PNP, if there is any semblance of a evidence, anything at all, show us. The resistance research team, the resistance secretary, and our research team is one of the best in this country. Only can challenge us on any information. We have the best research team currently inside the PNP. And we are going to find out everything. And Michelle Stern is going to come on live, and she is going to lay it out to the comrades. Comrades, people trying to change the PNP. And maybe that was Bunting's idea, because him was a banker. Well, him is a banker, a short-ass black man banker. And what him came up with this whole idea to revisit the PNP and change the PNP history, to make the PNP be a black man that founded the PNP, to write out the manly name out of the PNP. It's a wicked and vicious act. And we must refuse to accept it. We must reject it. O.T. Fairclough, my foot. Who is this man? Where was he from? Where is he from? Where is he from in Jamaica? When yard there? When family lineage there? Who is he? We don't know who is he. Nobody know who this man is. But suddenly, he is the co-founder of the People's National Party. Where on God's green earth do we get that foolishness? So much so that you have leaders in the PNP now who ought to know better, referring to Norman Manley as co-founder. Is there some kind of conspiracy? Is there some kind of conspiracy to rebrand the PNP and take out the Manley name? Why is Mark Golding and him crew trying to confuse PNP people? The same old play that white people does. Divide and rule. Confuse PNP people. Norman Manley was a teacher. O.T. Fairclough was a scammer from Haiti. Anybody who come from Haiti in 1934 after Franklin Delano Roosevelt pulled America from Haiti must have been some kind of scammer. We're not buying that foolishness about O.T. Fairclough co-founded PNP.